I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name is Bethany Dotson. I'm a yoga therapist and I'm a coach, and I help women break the cycle of bad relationships. Hey, Selena. I help women break the cycle of bad relationships and finally attract a healthy love, maybe even if they don't think that it's possible. So I wanted to talk to you today about the 60-second hack that you can do when you feel like giving up on love, when you find yourself thinking that dating is hard, dating sucks, you seem to attract all the wrong types, you seem to be putting in all the work, you seem to get guys that need a lot of fixing. They're a project. They just need your love and support to help them become a better person. So before I go right into the good stuff, I have a little story to share with you, and I will make it quick. It is a yoga related story. So if you've never done yoga, you can still get the benefit from this. And it's a fable from Hindu mythology that sometimes is talked about in yoga philosophy. So those are like big words. So this story has some mythical characters to it. So I ask that you try to suspend your disbelief and judgment about what could be possible in the story. But the point is the underlying message is very, very profound and poignant, and I feel like it might resonate with you. And it's also said that if you hear this story, it will bring you luck and prosperity and abundance. So that's like the tale around this, is that if you hear it, it brings you good luck. So if you're not familiar with yoga, there is a pose in yoga called Hanuman Asana. And Hanuman Asana basically is a fancy Sanskrit word for doing the splits. And it's named after Hanuman. And in Hindu mythology, Hanuman was a monkey god. This is where you have to suspend your disbelief for a minute. So he was a monkey god who had this innate ability to fly. He could take these grand leaps through the air, which is where the pose got its name, because if you look at someone in the splits, it looks like they're taking a leap of faith. And if you've ever tried to do the splits, it probably felt like you were taking a leap of faith. So the name is very fitting. So the story goes something like this. Back many, many, many thousands of years ago, when baby Hanuman was just a little monkey, he was a very mischievous person, very mischievous little boy, curious, always asking the wrong questions, kind of annoying his parents. And he was always kind of getting into trouble. And it was at this time when he was a young boy that he discovered that he had this great talent, this kind of like off the wall talent to take these leaps and bounds into the sky. So he's constantly testing out his abilities, a lot of times against his parents' judgment. They were always telling him, no, don't do that, you're gonna get in trouble. So one day he was walking along, it was a beautiful day outside, he was very hungry, and he looked up in the sky and he saw the sun. And to him, in his mind, as a young monkey god, as a little boy, he thought, wow, that looks like a giant orange. I think I'm gonna try to leap up there and take a bite out of it and grab it. So he took this grand, gigantic jump into the sky, and he almost reached the sun. And at the time that he did this, there were other big gods who controlled the wind, for example, and other things that saw this happening, and they were like, oh no, that's too dangerous. This is a little too close for comfort. I don't like what he's doing. He needs to have some control over himself. So the big gods in the sky who controlled things like the seasons and the wind and the sun and the moon cast a spell on him, on baby Hanuman, so that he forgot how to fly. He completely forgot that he had this ability. And so he went through life. He grew older, became a teenage monkey god, became an adult monkey god, and he went through his life and it was okay. But he always kind of felt like something was missing. And he couldn't quite put his finger on it. He lived an okay life, but he never felt really excited about anything. He never felt lit up. And it was just like he was going through the motions day to day. So many years pass, and he's now a mature monkey god. He's an adult at this point. And there's a war that's going on in the village. And one of the princesses is captured. Hey guys, hey Sarah, hey Gail. One of the princesses is captured and she's taken far away across the ocean to a faraway land. And the village people are up in arms because they don't know how to get her back. They don't know where to find her. They don't know how. The biggest thing is that they don't know how to get across this body of water. They've never done it before. They don't have the abilities to do so. And so someone suddenly remembered that Hanuman, the monkey god, had this ability to take these leaps and bounds. And so they said, well, it's worth a shot. Let's go ask him and see if he can help us out. So they go find him, and they find him in his house, and they ask him, and they said, this is what happened. The princess has been captured. She's way across on the other side of the ocean in this faraway land. We don't know how to find her. And his first response was, oh no, you've got the wrong person. That couldn't be me. And he said, no, remember when you were little? And he said, yeah, I know, but that was like a long time ago, and I don't do that anymore. I'm not the person for you. And they said, look, you're our last hope. If you don't do it, she could die, and none of us want that. That would be terrible. Bad things would happen to us. That means that the invaders could come in and kill all of us. So you have to try to do something about it. And so when they told him this, that he was their only hope, that weighed heavily on his heart. And even though he knew logically he had forgotten how to fly, it piqued his curiosity. So the villagers left. And when they left, his parting words were that I'm going to try to help you. Okay, I'll try. So he went into a deep meditative state. And this is the yoga part that comes along. He went into a deep meditative state. And he sat in meditation for a long time. And in Hindu mythology, I think it was like a really long amount of time. And he finally discovered, after sitting in meditation for a long period of time, he finally started to remember who he was. He went into deep meditation for a long period of time, and he finally decided, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. So he went to the edge of town where the coastline was. Hey, everybody. Okay. He went to the edge of town where the coast was, and he saw this great body of water in front of him. And he didn't even know where the faraway land was. So he decided to take a leap of faith. And this is where the pose comes from. He took a leap of faith. He went deep inside and he accessed his power, and he remembered who he was. And he took this grand leap of faith. And lo and behold, he landed on the island. And I won't get into all of the rest, but he found the princess and he brought her back to safety. I tell this story right now because for those of you that are watching, actually, I'll start with this. For all of you that are watching, you may have forgotten who you are through the course of your life. You may have grown up being told, don't do this, be quiet, you should do this job other than that job, you should get married by the time you're X, Y, and Z, and have X amount of kids by the time you're a certain age. If you're watching, this might apply to some of you, or not, but not all. If you're watching and you've been in a toxic relationship, if you have been in more than one, if you've stayed longer than you should have, you forget who you are. You start to forget all the qualities about yourself. You forget the innate talents, the things that light you up. And it's like you're walking through a haze. So in the story, when he went through his life, he felt like something was missing. It's kind of the same thing when you're in a bad relationship. It can rob you and strip you of the things that make you who you are. And you might feel like leaving, that immediately you get that back, but actually the reality is the period after you've left can be just as haze producing, if not more so. There can be a lot of idealization about like, oh, was it really that bad? Looking in the rearview mirror. And it can feel like walking through muck to try to get yourself back. And that journey can feel like a leap of faith. Leaving can feel like a leap of faith. So I want to get to my point here. When you finally get to the point where you think like, oh, okay, I'm ready to start putting myself out there. I'm ready to start opening myself very slowly to the possibility of love. And then you go on dates and you get out there, and, you know, even just going to a coffee shop or going out by yourself and trying to make eye contact can feel like a risk. It can feel vulnerable. And it can be really easy if you've been out there dating, or even if you've been through the ringer like a lot, and you spent years and years of your life laying down and giving up who you are in order to make it work in a relationship that was draining you. It can feel like, I never want to do that again. And it's really easy to cut yourself off from the flow of receiving love and want to control circumstances and prevent people from hurting you. And if you're watching and you don't want to live that way, and you want to open yourself up, even though it feels risky as hell, here's the 60-second hack that I have for you. So when you find yourself in the train of thought, and this might be habitual, this might be 85% of the time, there might be an underlying current of, guys suck, dating sucks, this is too hard, I'm never going to meet anybody, I'm never going to meet anybody like my ex. Your ex may have been really charming and really exciting and had a lot of passion. A lot of times abusive or toxic relationships are like that. They're not all bad. In fact, you know, when it's good, it's great. You might get into this habitual pattern of, I'm never going to find it. So when you find yourself, and the key here is that you have to have some kind of awareness, you have to be self-aware, is to stop, pause, feel your feet on the ground, notice your surroundings. What do you see? What do you hear? Can you smell anything? Immediately try to get out of your head. Noticing your feet on the ground puts your focus out of your head, out of the spiral of thoughts that are going up here. I'm never going to meet anybody, dating's hard, blah, blah, blah. And puts you out of that closed energy loop, right? That you're not at all open at that point energetically. You're very closed off energetically, and that will magically present circumstances and people in your life that are going to bring and mirror that back to you. So to break that pattern of thinking, immediately you have to catch yourself when you're doing it. And you can do this in 60 seconds. Notice yourself doing it. Notice your feet on the ground. You can wiggle your toes, you can shift your weight. Just take a moment to really feel the earth underneath your feet. It's so rare that we do that when we're living in our phones and driving in our cars and living on technology. Notice your surroundings. What do you see? Right? Get out of your head, get out of the emotional hook of, I'm not going to find it, it's not going to happen for me. Can you touch something? What do you smell? And then from there, dive into your breath. And the breath that I like to do is a 4-count inhale. Pause at the top of your breath for 4 counts. So silently count to 4, and then a 4-count exhale. So it's an inhale for 4, a pause for 4, and then an exhale for 4. And it's a slow, rhythmic breath that will immediately calm down the fight or flight that's going on in your head Even if it's like you don't feel super anxious at the moment, it'll stop that pattern of happening, of that circuitry going on in your brain of like, it's never going to happen for me. I'm not going to find it. No one's ever going to find me attractive. It's too hard. All I've ever attracted are assholes or guys that are emotionally unavailable or emotionally abusive or narcissists or whatever your case may be. Immediately catch yourself, dive into your breath. 4 counts in, 4 counts to hold, and 4 counts out. Do that for 10 to 15 rounds and probably get at least 10 in 1 minute. And then notice what happens. So I bring this in as a way for you to start to shift, right? To start to shift your perspective around I'm not going to have it into I'm going to soften this hold that I have in my brain around I'm not going to have it. I'm just going to be open. And immediately when you connect to your breath, immediately when you connect to your feet on the floor, when you start to notice what's outside of yourself rather than this loop of chatter that's going on in your head, you immediately shift into a more open state energetically. You start to begin, right? This is not like you're going to do it once and then your life has changed forever. This is not like an overnight fix. This is something that you can practice daily to start to build that muscle. You might meet Mr. Right after doing it once. I'm not sure, but the idea is to put it into practice. So that's my practice for you today. I'll quickly recap. When you notice yourself sitting at work, sitting behind your computer, driving down the street, maybe you stop at a stoplight and you see a couple holding hands, an old couple holding hands, and they're walking across the street, and you're wondering, am I ever going to meet anybody that I'll end up with like that'll be walking me across the street when I'm 80 years old? And you start going down that downward spiral of, oh, it's not going to happen for me. All the guys that I've ever dated are, it's been a shit show my whole life. It's never going to happen for me, blah, blah, blah. And you get into this cycle. Notice where you are. Catch yourself. Feet on the floor. Bring your focus to your feet. Notice your surroundings. Touch something. If you're in your car, notice your steering wheel. Take a deep breath. Take several deep breaths. 4 counts in. Pause for 4. Exhale for 4. Do this for 1 minute, for 60 seconds. And I promise you, you'll notice a change. Might not change your life forever. It might not immediately bring you the results that you want. It's not a Band-Aid fix by any means, but it's something that you can do daily to begin to bring yourself into a more open, receptive state to receive rather than being shut off, which is what happens when you get in the negative loop. So that is what I have for you today. Good. He was all the above. Yes, girl. I've been there too. So that's what I have for you today. I thank you so much for joining and for being patient with me when I had tech issues. So I'm going to put this on replay. So if you didn't catch it live, you can definitely watch the replay. Leave a comment. And if you're interested in hopping on the phone to chat about your situation and fix it once and for all, you can go to bethanydotson.com/apply. And I'd be happy to chat with you.